All right, what's up, Tycoon? Super excited for today's video. We're going to take a look at three stocks, okay, some of the ARK funds. And these were all viewer requests, okay? So if you have any stocks you want me to cover, chart up for you guys, give you my technical analysis on, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to do that for you, okay? So the first one we're going to look at is ARKF, all right? Now we're looking at the daily chart. I have it pulled up to show about 3 years of time on here. And I know it looks a little complicated, but stick with me, okay? So the first thing I want to show you guys is, these are our major levels we haven't tested or, that we're in the process of currently coming down and retesting, all right? And, these are prices from a couple years ago. All right. The first one is 27. The second one is 21.92. Let's just call that 22. And then the last one's our low here is 16.94. Just call that 17. All right. Now there's these little boxes here. You may be wondering what those are. Those are what's known as daily gaps. Okay. Gaps on the chart where if we zoom in here, um you know you can clearly see there's a gap in between this candlestick and that candlestick, right? Those tend to fill historically about 90 to 95% of the time in the stock market, and it's always just a matter of when, right? When will this fill, rather than if, and a lot of times gaps up, they fill on bull markets when the market is in euphoria, for instance, and a euphoric cycle. And those gaps down, those fill in the bear markets, all right, in a in a market of dysphoria, all right, the opposite of euphoria. So two key things that I'm, ARKF, I'll be honest, that's the first one we're looking at. This is not my favorite ARK fund, you know, but we have two gaps down. Okay, we have a gap down to about 1850, 1818 area. All right, and then we have another gap to about 1950 to like 1937 area. All right, we're currently trading right around $26. So, I want everyone to be cautious of that. Now, the if we look here from the highs to go all the way down to these bottom gaps, ARKX or ARKF would have to drop about 70%, right? So I'm not sure if that will happen, but that's something that I'm very cautious of, and that is keeping me personally away from ARKF. If we get those gaps to fill, then I might look at possibly getting some shares, right? Now let's look a little bit more recently, okay? So, we have this pattern here. And a lot of times people mistake this like symmetrical triangle pattern for a bullish pattern, but really it's just unbiased. You're waiting for a break on the bottom or a break on the top. And I had been watching this just because, I thought the financial sector was going to do pretty well. But, we all know how that turned out. All right. So, we had the breakdown from that pattern, and we've just gone straight down, almost pretty much like almost in a straight line. Okay. As they say, the bull market takes the steps up, all right, and the bear market takes the elevator down. It just drops down real quick. All right. Now, on the upside, okay, just as we had two daily gaps down to fill, we do have two daily gaps up to fill. Okay, we have a daily gap up to 59 area, right, just below 60, and above that we have a gap up to about 62.50. All right. Now let's go ahead and take a look at where at the price it is right now, and if you are a long-term bull on the ARKF fund, the FinTech Innovation ETF for them, just from this support level right here of 27, these are offering about 127, 125% roughly returns on your investment. Now, those gaps may take a year to fill. They may take 6 months. They may take 5 years to fill. We can't predict the future, but what we can do is we can position ourselves in that range. All right. So I broke down the daily gaps up, the daily gaps down. I showed you guys where these major support levels are from. All right, they're from these levels that we haven't tested yet. Okay, so basically we blew past these levels, never came back down to retested them, and currently we're in the process of testing them. Okay. um, we do have two forms of like a little bit of some bullish divergence that you could try to play off of, and try to day trade off of, if you know about divergence and how to use it. If not, I have a tutorial in the top right hand corner feel free to watch that. It's like 5-10 minutes long, and it really breaks down divergence really simple for you. But essentially, if we follow this trend line, we are making lower highs. Okay, here's our high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. All right, but if we follow this trend line on the R side, we're, here's our high, here's a higher 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 high. So, it's going up, all right, on the RSI. And then if we follow this trend line here, it's going down. Okay, we're making lower lows, lower lows, lower lows, lower lows, lower lows, but the RSI is making higher lows and higher lows along this trend line. Okay, if we look basically from this point to this point, here's our low, and then here's our next low. Those are higher lows. All right, so that's basically my analysis on ARKF. The next one we're going to go into is ARKK, which this is like her most popular fund, right? And ARKK looks pretty decent. Same thing essentially going on here. All right, we're retesting these previous levels that we'd never tested after that big run up, after that big rally, that made her famous essentially. We haven't really tested any of these levels ever since. So that's what we're doing right now is we're coming back down, and we've ended the euphoria cycle in the market, and we're in the dysphoria market cycle. But we are holding this support level really strongly. It's at 59. That's our key support level we're going to want to maintain for ARKK. All right, if we break that, our next support level below that is 49.18, and then 40.3, and then let's see, even lower than that is going to be 33. All right, so none of this is financial advice. Okay, I'm just just you guys' friend. All right, trying to help you guys out. But if you wanted to start getting some long-term positions in the ARKK fund, well, these are the areas that I would start to slowly accumulate. Right, if we drop back down below 59, start adding 10% of a position of your position size to ARKK that you want to invest in. If you want to invest $1,000, $10,000, don't go all in. Right, this is not the time to go all in. We are, everything is bearish. Okay, if you look here, these three lines are our moving averages. We're trading below the 50, 100, and 200 simple moving averages. We're gonna have to flip these from resistance to support and start trading above these, for the stock to really be in an uptrend. All right, it's no secret. I mean, we can look at the chart going down. Okay, going down. So this is not really the best time, but if you are one of those people who are searching for a bottom, trying to find the bottom on ARKK, these are potential levels where we could see a bottom on it. And the last one will be ARKX. But yeah, so ARKX. All right, now this one is actually my favorite out of all of the ARK funds. It's the space exploration ETF. I think that space is really going to have a lot. And my theory is that when Starlink IPOs and Elon Musk's space companies and things like that, if they enter the stock market, this is the fund that's going to swoop it up. All right, so that's just my theory, my opinion. But the space companies that really take over in the next 10 years, she's going to have her hands in those, and those funds are those stocks are going to end up in the ARKX fund. Right now there's not too many space exploration stocks, but if we look here, this is what's known as box consolidation right here. This gray box, this is when the stock is just trading in a zone, and it's very easy to swing trade. Okay, it was really easy to get the bottom on these and then ride the momentum to the top, short it at the top, ride it to the bottom. It's been some nice swing trades on ARKX, right? But as you can see, we broke that box consolidation and we started to drop lower. All right, so right here, this one doesn't have years and years of data behind it for us to go find previous support levels, right? But I do have some techniques to try to just find some support and resistance at where the price is not at. The lowest level I have on here is going to be 14.19. Now you're probably wondering, what's this box right here? How why do I have that? Well, if we zoom in on the 1 hour chart, okay, which the 1 hour gaps are not as strong, and don't have as much of a track record as filling as, let's say, the other stuff like the daily gaps, right? But something real interesting to be cautious of and be prepared for is this 1 hour gap down on the ARKX chart. Okay, there's a gap down to about 1419. Um, and that's also where I have that nice support level. Okay, so if you look here on the 1 hour chart, we ended up dipping and finding some support right around there. That 1419 level. And I didn't really I didn't use this to draw it. I drew my support and resistance levels off the daily chart. But it's just nice to see that these levels are valid. So this is a pretty well respected support level around 1419. So if ARKX is going to drop and we're going to break this support level here at 1638, which is our current support level, the next major support level is going to be 1528, right? And then below that is going to be the 1419 support level. And we have that nice daily gap down to, or I'm sorry, 1 hour gap down to fill. So, that's essentially it for ARKX. I personally, I don't think it's bad to start grabbing some of this long term. I mean, even if you bought the top on ARKX and you're still holding and you're down right now, I just want to show you guys it's, the pain is, relatively small compared to other things, right? If, let's say you bought at the top and sold at the very bottom here, right? This 15 level, that's, down about 30%, 29%. Versus, we'll go back to the ARKK chart and, the highs of this one down to where it's at right now is much more than 30%, 55%. So, not as much pain in the ARKX stock. And I definitely, as I said before, this is my favorite out of all of them. I think that it holds the, greatest long-term potential, long-term meaning at least like 5 to 10 years. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm out.